On 2000 today, we have now moved to Britain. Prince Charles is shot there, and we are preparing for a special finale to the last sunset of 1999 in the United Kingdom. As the sun begins to cross that part of the world for the last millennium, Prince Charles is attending the celebration of the last moments of light in an ancient ceremony where 200 Scottish pipers will make the stroll along the Royal Mile in Edinburgh. As the Scottish pipers parade down the Royal Mile, we cross to Plymouth on England's southern coast. Marines there are beginning to play Highland Cathedral. Some 63 musicians in full military regalia will play the finale to the Millennium as the sun sets over the English Channel, and we move to historic locations from the far north of Scotland right through a number of other locations in the British Isles. In Nottingham, we'll share a special moment with the veterans of 2 world wars as they remember the century. Wonderful scenes there. From Britain, and of course Prince Charles involved, and that was the ceremony at sunset, and we saw a wide variety of country there from the United Kingdom. Well, Deb Kennedy, I said wonderful scenes, but you could say it about just about everything that we've seen. The trip through the glacier there in Argentina just a few minutes ago with another special composition for this program. Again, it is magnificent to see so many broadcasters, so many talents pooling together to welcome this new century.
The world has put on a magnificent show for the turn of the century. If you want to know what's coming up next, of course, you've got the ABC website, and we hope to bring you that address, www.abc.net.au/2000. And in Britain, of course, the only downside for them was that their Millennium Wheel was a bit of a fizz-off, wasn't it?
That was rather embarrassing, I would imagine, to put all that time, effort, and they've had 1,000 years to prepare for it after all.
That's right.
It went wrong at the last minute. It wasn't able to get up and running.
That's right. Well, it's running, but no passengers. They've decided it's not safe. So that's a shame, but I actually personally thought it was an eyesore anyway, to be honest.
Yeah, well, it's hard to work out what the real purpose was, except to give people a good ride.
Yes, exactly. So anyway, who knows what the future holds for Britain. And of course, they've seen some tumultuous years with the death of Diana, of course, in '97. And William, of course, the focus will now be on him this millennium, I would imagine, because, of course, he will now possibly become king if the Queen does decide to step down or passes away or whatever.
Interesting times ahead, and no doubt times that will sell many women's magazines just as they did in the last millennium.
Yes, indeed. Now, we're going to have a look at New Zealand, where they've already gathered to celebrate in a big way. At Mount Hikurangi, the locals have gathered for the first dawn on the mainland. They have in store for us a very traditional ceremony featuring the unveiling of a sculpture facing towards the origin of Polynesian migration. And also, Dame Kiri Takanawa has a special offering from a beach near Gisborne. You're watching 2000 Today, and this 1,000-man haka is part of the celebrations from New Zealand at Mount Hikurangi.
Te perenga mai o te mangoruroa. Toro peka peka. Ngauangi notia. Te whatuaro o te ikaroa. Ha Maui. E no tone. Ia mua ki au taku toki ko te toki nui naru a te tua tu tāwake. Ko toki awa I ko toki a whiro ko te puake. O toki a maranga te tāwha whakawhiti o le tika tāni aku manu kōpere. Kōpere ki he uru, kōpere ki he mātangi o pakarua rei tauira. E whiro tō te puaho a ke tō kairongo. Ko te rongo mai tua, ko te rongo mai tā te piri, tā te koe I tū ai ko mana hua I konoa. Mata tua nei no te a, mata tua no te tonu, mata tua tai te tau o ki. Me tiro a ki hikurangi ki te ati tipu e, ki te ati tahito. Te utaino I te waka tere I te waka hara ki he nuku, whakahinga he nuku e pua tō hau e mū. Ko ai kai runga nei kore mungu tā ki te rangi, e ke toi ne hoki whāna. Hāna hawa te toki haunge, huie tai e.
Tuia. Tuia ki runga, tuia ki raro, tuia ki roto, tuia ki waho,
Tuia ki te here tangata kārongo te pō, kārongo te ao. Tuia I te muka tangata I take a mai I Hawaii ki nui.
Here we are in New Zealand at Mount Hikurangi, which stands approximately 2,000 metres high. The name is open to several interpretations. It can mean the pillar upon which the sun rests, or the mountain tilted high so that other lands may see it. And here we're witnessing a 1,000-man haka, a traditional New Zealand dance, warrior dance, of course. And while we say man, there are a few women in there, but we're using that generically, of course. And a huge event here in New Zealand, which of course had its its millennium a few hours ago now. "68 countries participating in this broadcast, 1,000 cameras, 2,000 today. You're watching coverage from New Zealand on ABC television.
From New Zealand and the beautiful voice of Dame Kiri Te Kanawa, we have moved now to Indonesia and to Borobudur. This is the largest Buddhist temple in the world. It's located in Yogyakarta in central Java. Dancers will appear in the temple shortly. They've been choreographed by one of Indonesia's leading choreographers, and they will dance the relief salute and create movements as if stone relief is being brought to life as part of New Year celebrations for 2000 Today from Indonesia, live on ABC TV. Coming to midnight in Indonesia on 2000 Today. The dance you are watching portrays relief depicting the law of karma, blaming worthy deeds with their responding punishments and praising worthy activities with their subsequent rewards. These scenes are coming from the largest Buddhist temple in the world, and one that goes back to the first, not the second, but the first millennium. It was built between 780 and 823 AD in the Sanyana dynasty.
Yo sahasang sahasena sanggame manuse jine ekang saje yamatta sawe
father wanted me to be a commercial artist. My teachers thought I should write, but fortunately I found my creative freedom in composition, through composing music that was about my everyday life and the events that surrounded me. I grew up living and playing on the banks of the North Esk River in Tasmania. In fact, my very first vivid memory is of a time when I was about 4 years old, walking with my family beside that river. I remember seeing a rainbow in the water. It was so beautiful that I wanted it. I walked into the water, but it eluded my embrace. I nearly drowned, but my cousin Helen rescued me. But then I was told about the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. I must say the pot of gold has never really interested me much, but I have spent my whole life chasing that elusive rainbow. I'm concerned about justice for my fellow human beings, and I'm very concerned about overpopulation on this planet. You know, in 1950, the population was just over 2 billion people. Today, it's 6 billion. What's it going to be in 2050? Now, I'm sure that ways will be found to support our increasing numbers, but what can be done about the compounding of human greed and hatred? I can't answer this, but in all that I do, I attempt to uplift the human spirit, and I hope to pass on my feelings to others. So when harnessed, our feelings have enormous power. Maybe we should all spend some time chasing rainbows.
special concert with Dame Kiri Te Kanawa, James Judd, the New Zealand Symphony Orchestra, and the Waihariri Maori group has come to an end. Now we hear the sound of the conch shell, which heralds not only the arrival of the new dawn, but also the arrival of the waka from all over the Pacific. The pohiri now takes place for the wakahorua. The wakahorua will take place on the beach behind the stage, and after it there will be the on the stage. The access walkways immediately next to the stage area are being blocked for the use of those in the seating for the elderly and some of the guests to Gisborne. So if you wish to leave the audience area and walk to the beach to see the waka, please look at the palm trees.
Thank you.
There we are, the haka beginning for the waka in New Zealand, Gisborne, New Zealand, and before that Dame Kiri Te Kanawa with the New Zealand Symphony Orchestra from all of the settings and a beach near Gisborne. And she's a direct descendant of famous Maori...
Absolutely magnificent, wasn't it?
It was.
You know, New Year is all about firsts, and I would think that's probably the first concert that Dame Kiri has done on a beach at 6 in the morning, because that's what it is in New Zealand, just gone 6 o'clock.
Yes.
So we are very much into a new millennium, doing different things, and of course bringing talent like that to so many people right across the world. This broadcast attracting obviously more than a billion viewers, 770 million households right across the world, and they're seeing fine talent.
And I mean, we're sitting in the comfort of our very lovely chairs here, but the effort that has gone into bringing that, especially from Gisborne and the Chatham Islands and Mount Hitarangi there, very remote locations, no mobile phone services at all on Chatham Islands. They've had to bring in the New Zealand Air Force to help set up this amazing broadcast. The same on Mount Hitarangi. The locals have gathered together. The government has helped bring in all the supplies needed. It's been a phenomenal putting together of this for us as we sit, as you said earlier, in our armchairs watching it as if we were flying around the world. It's fantastic.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, anyway, you're watching 2000 Today on ABC television, and to recap on the dawn of the new century, the highlights so far. In case you've just joined us after your celebrations, you're watching 2000 Today on ABC television. That was some of the highlights that we've seen throughout the world as the world celebrates the turn of the new millennium. Now, we, throughout the last month, December, have been recording some interesting snapshots with Australian icons, and we'll go now to Betty Churcher.
Well, I suppose for me the most significant event has to be the moon landing in 1969, because then I could see with my own eyes what scientists had been telling us for centuries. But there it was, just like the school globe floating out there in outer space. Well, I suddenly realised that for centuries artists had been painting this world that I was now looking at from the moon from a fixed point with both feet firmly placed on the ground. That view from the moon told me that there's no fixed point, indeed there's no horizon line. And interestingly, Aboriginal artists have never depicted their land in such a prescribed way, because when Rover Thomas painted his picture of Cyclone Tracy, he depicted this huge black cloud moving across the land, threatening to envelop it, probably looking very much as it may have looked from outer space. What it did for me, it made me look out there and see the world as a very finite and vulnerable space. It was almost like looking down and thinking miraculously, this is a fertile little garden that we've been given to tend and to care for, and we'd better look after it, because quite clearly there's nowhere else to go. And I really do think the next millennium has to take this on very seriously. Human beings tend to wait until things reach a crisis level before they do anything about it. So I hope we don't. I hope that glimpse of the fragility of the world alerted sufficient people to the need for environmental care.
You're watching 2000 Today on ABC television. Well, as Australia's eastern states prepare to see the first glimmers of light for the new millennium, there are still preparations underway for the celebration of New Year across Europe. We are just about to go to Denmark to look at a tradition which is 1,000 years old itself. It is being revitalized for the next millennium as Denmark presents the return of the Vikings. And obviously a few glasses are being raised to that already.
Excuse me, you seem a bit odd, a bit different to the rest of the crowd.
It's because I live in a land of fairy tales. Even in my days, they thought I was a kind of ugly duckling. But listen to my story. At least a child would understand. Once upon a time, there was a king who had 3 daughters.
Poulsen. It's Jensen! Well, Denmark have taken the lead here.
Excuse me.
It's Michael. It's 92. We are the champions. Shots are plenty.
There are rumors that the Queen herself might even come by tonight to have a toast with the people. we have to interrupt this transmission from Copenhagen. Happy New Year and take really good care for the next millennium.
Now on 2000 Today, we are in Italy, with a special performance outside the Leaning Tower of Pisa, in the places and the hours of Tosca. This represents Italian traditions and combines history, music and landscape. The opera's setting is Castel Sant'Angelo in the Rome of 1800, and it narrates the last hours in the life of Cavaradossi, condemned to death and in love with Tosca.